So, guys, welcome back to another edition of the Ojiako podcast. I say edition, sorry, episode or another show of the Ojiako podcast or show, which I want to say to you. So I'm gonna get right into it. So it's official, and in my last episode or the one before that, I kind of vowed that I would not say his name, but Jake Paul, everybody, yes. Ben Askren versus Jake Paul. Jake Paul called out Conor McGregor, Dylan Dennis, but Ben Askren was the one who accepted the challenge, as he said. And when I saw this on YouTube just a couple of days ago, I was just on my way into town, just on the bus. I was just in central London, and I saw on YouTube, and I thought, was it YouTube or Instagram? Well, no, it must have been YouTube, and I was like, wow, this is actually going to happen. And I did a little research on it. I talked to the people who are involved in mixed martial arts or combat sports that I know, that I talk to a lot, podcasts, other YouTubers, YouTube videos, all the content, internet content, and anything else I could see in newspapers, just all sources of information that I could find as to what if the fight was really going to happen. When it's going to take place. Obviously, it's going to take place on the 17th of April. The venue is yet to be confirmed. And, I was just trying to gauge and guess and just weigh up, basically, just trying to weigh up, is there going to be much interest for this fight between Ben Askren and Jake Paul? Because on one side, you have someone who, let's start with Ben Askren, who is someone who, if you are well vested in MMA, I don't class myself as someone who's there yet. But if you really are someone who is an avid and a loyal fan of the sport, or not just MMA, but of combat sports in general altogether, then more than likely you wouldn't have heard of Ben Askren. He's one of the, can I say, elite levels, but he's up there. He's one of the well-known figures of the sport of MMA in combat sports. And then on the other side, before I get to the other side, not just that, it's Ben Askren, but he also has experience in the sport. He's fought many fights. He's won more fights than he's lost. And he's well known for his grappling, his wrestling. Striking, however, and I've not just been told this, and I haven't just heard this, but I've also seen it for myself. His striking, his jab, his punches, his hooks, his uppercuts, if he even does them at all when he's fighting, no, it's not good. At least not good as it should be. To say that it's good. I've watched some scenes. There was one fight. Was it UFC 230? UFC 239. No, and actually UFC 230 when he fought Jorge Masvidal, that there was actually no striking. I don't think Ben Askren didn't get a chance to do so because Masvidal just came with a flying knee and just put Ben Askren on the floor, and he was knocked out cold. So no, I can't use that as a good example, but other fights that I've seen, I think in 1FC 16, that was back in 2014, Ben Askren fought another fighter in one championship. His name, he goes by the name of Abasov. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, so if I'm not, please do correct me in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. But I saw that fight. Now, Ben Askren did win that fight. I think he won by submission. But what I could see is that his striking, his punches, his jabs, as I've highlighted just a few seconds earlier, just wasn't good. They looked sloppish and sluggish. In fact, I'm just going to play a brief one here just so you can't see it, but obviously I can see it. But, there's something he does when he's punching. He seems to like, when he's throwing a strike or throwing a jab, when, just going through a punch, it almost looks like he's, as he's going to do that, he's going to lean forward and at the same time do a takedown, try and get his opponent's head, just trying to bend it down. But his stand-up, as they say in the sport, isn't really that great. So when it comes to actually guessing, engaging, and betting on whether this guy will beat Jake Paul. And that brings me to Jake Paul. This is someone who, has already made a name for himself. He's known for making YouTube videos, and before he made YouTube videos, he was in Disney. I can't remember what the name of the show was, but he was in a Disney show. He was involved with the Disney Channel some way, and after they went onto YouTube, and I think because I've seen some of his videos, I don't follow his content so because I just find it's just a waste of my time. He posts videos of himself doing pranks, and not just pranks but silly stuff, and surprise surprise, there is an audience out there that's the sort of thing that they like to watch, not just children or teenagers or young adults, but even grown men and women in their late 20s, 30s, 40s and above. They actually as mature people, in the eyes of the Lord, they do like watching. They're entertained by that sort of thing. So he's made a name for himself by doing that sort of stuff. So he's someone in that regard. Now his last two fights, I went back and I actually watched this as well as watching Ben Askren's a few of Ben Askren's fights, because obviously Ben Askren's been in the fight game, combat sports game for a lot longer than Jake Paul. Jake Paul's only had 2 boxing matches, 2-0, and that's it really. And I saw on Wikipedia the other day, and it's mind-boggling the way people think about things. Already he's been termed as a professional boxer, and you may disagree with a novice like myself, but I think it's fair to say, this is my opinion, that I think it's fair to say whenever you start doing something, it doesn't matter how much success you get at the beginning. I think before you can call yourself a professional in that field of whatever you're doing, you still have a long way to go, a long way to prove yourself, before you can actually call yourself a professional. But going back onto what I said, I saw the first match, which was Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson, and in that fight, Nate Robinson, I think it was like 2 or 3 times the guy actually hit the ground. It was floored by a punch from Jake Paul. Jake Paul didn't touch the ground even once. I think it was 8 rounds. What I watched was a highlight which focused on how Jake Paul won that fight. And then the other match, which was against another YouTuber who went by the name of Anson Gibb. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, again, please correct me in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube. But yeah, Jake Paul won that fight. I'm not a hater. I'm not, but personally, I think I speak for a lot of people in the mixed martial arts community specifically. I personally do want Ben Askren to win this boxing match, but deep down in my heart of hearts, my gut is telling me that Ben Askren doesn't stand a chance, and he would need a miracle to win that boxing match up against Jake Paul. Now, a few things that I saw in the 2 boxing matches I saw Jake Paul performing against Anson Gibb and Nate Robinson, is that his striking, it's very sharp. It's and what they call in MMA, his stand up is pretty good. And there was a particular Instagrammer that I was speaking to on Instagram. I think, God, he might kill me if it might be really be annoyed at me if I get his name wrong, but I think his name's Boxing Vlog. Yeah, shout out to you, and thanks for watching my my content and my podcasts. He even said himself that Ben Askren striking, because I posed this question to him and to Charlie and to other people that I talked to about this sport. Now we're in the ending of January as I'm recording this podcast, and the event's going to take place on the 17th of April, and more than likely many people turn around and actually say to me I'm stupid and I'm just silly for even thinking this. But I said, that's I thought to myself, that's about 2.5 months away, which is still some time away. Isn't it possible for Ben Askren to go away and just work and try and perfect his striking capability in that time? And I was more or less told no. Ben Askren's been fighting for a long time. He's about 36, 37 now. He's been in the fight game for a long while, and unfortunately, his striking capabilities, his poor striking. Because I don't want to shit on Ben Askren. I do like him. He's not one of those fighters that runs their mouth and insults other people to promote a fight. Though I do appreciate you have to do that to sell the fight. But his striking just isn't good, and even to a newbie, to a newcomer, to a freshman like Jake Paul, who's only been in the fight game, at least in terms of boxing, for the short time he's been in, Jake Paul's striking capabilities already, it's a lot better than Ben Askren's. If you think Ben Askren has any striking capability at all, and again, this is boxing. In boxing, you have to play with your fists, your hands. There's no takedowns allowed. There's no wrestling or grappling, no clinches, nothing like that. And you have to fight with your fists. And that for Ben Askren, that is a big disadvantage. For Jake Paul, I can see the advantage that many people have been talking about, telling me about, because in the short space of time, he's proven that, okay, he can box. But when it comes to calling him a professional, I'm not sure that I agree. And I think many other people in MMA, in boxing, in all other forms of combat sports probably would agree with me, because he's only been fighting for he's only had, but he's only had 2 matches, and both of those matches, okay, he won, but that's just 2 matches. And those matches were not up against, can I say, were they up against elite level boxers, on the same level as, even though these guys are retired, people like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, and the Fury guy, is it Mike Fury, or but his surname is Fury, and just right now, and I know who it is, and if I had the picture of him in front of me, I'll tell you who he is. But for some reason, I'm just having a memory blank right now. I can't put my finger on his name. But if he was to fight those guys, I think, well, if he even wanted to take the fight, the boxing match, then I think the story would be incredibly different. Now, many people have said that Jake Paul has made a smart move by picking Ben Askren to compete, to have this boxing match with, because Ben Askren is known in the UFC, and this is something I actually heard quote unquote from a YouTube video, that he's known to be one of the worst, if not one of the worst, if not the worst, but one of the worst strikers in the UFC. And that's something which, after seeing a lot of his past fights in the UFC and outside of the UFC in one championship, yeah, I agree. His striking really isn't. Not to hate on the guy, I like him. He's a good, humble guy, but I don't. His striking just isn't there. So, yeah, and another thing I was going to say, and this really is something else I could say towards the end of the podcast, but I think I may as well say it now. The UFC have confirmed that Paulo Costa is going to fight Robert Whittaker on the 17th of April of this year, but that's going to be on the same day as this fight. So does it mean that Dana White thinks or believes or even knows that many MMA fans just won't tune in to watch Ben Askren fight Jake Paul? I don't know, but I'm assuming that's what it suggests. And beyond that, many other people in the sport of MMA, from what I can see, from what I've been hearing, they just don't have the interest for this fight. It's basically just someone who is, someone who has had quite a successful MMA career. He's, I have to clear my throat. He has won more fights than he's lost. His striking isn't that great, but it's just someone who isn't really good at striking, going into a sport whereby your striking needs to be better than virtually anything else. Okay, your cardio has to be there as well, but your striking really has to be number one. Because there's no other skill set you could use. You can't grapple, you can't wrestle, you can't clinch, you can't take down. That sort of person is going up against someone who is good at striking, but has made a name for themselves by being an internet clown. I mean, the way he's been calling other fighters, what he did to Dylan Dennis just towards the end of last year, like gate crashing a show he was doing with Brendan Schaub, the Food Truck Diaries, and that's what it is. Yeah, the Food Truck Diaries that Brendan Schaub usually does with other mixed martial artists, and I just learned this today that the tissue he threw at Dylan Dennis was soaked in piss. Whether it's his piss or someone else's piss, his former girlfriend's piss, his ex-girlfriend, his mom's piss, his dad. Yeah, it was soaked in urine. I'm assuming it's human. It was just piss, basically. And he was chucking it at Dylan Dennis, and as I was doing so, Dylan Dennis actually retaliated, ran after Jake Paul, but Jake Paul stayed in the truck, and as everybody knows, Jake Paul drove off, and everybody was calling out Jake Paul, saying, if you really want to fight him, call him out, then why did you run away like you did? I really do want Ben Askren to win, but it looks unlikely, but let's see what happens, because Jake Paul has actually proven that his striking is pretty good, but so far, and I think I can safely say, I can make this point, that so far his striking may be good, fine, okay, that's okay, but he's only competed against people who aren't really elite level fighters or boxers. Nate Robinson and the other guy, Anson Gibb, who I think is also another YouTuber. Will I say that Nate Robinson is not an elite level fighter or boxer? I have to read. So don't bash me on that one. That's something I still have to check. But I mean, he hasn't gone against people who have been in the fight game for a really, really, really long time. Let's say 10 or 15 years, for that length of time. But it would be interesting to see what happens, even though I know that many people in the mixed martial arts community and in the MMA community on the whole have actually reacted in a negative way. Many have said that Askren really shouldn't have taken the fight. Darren Tillman sent out a tweet a few days ago saying, wow, what a way to humiliate MMA. Yeah. Some people are even Cody, not Cody No Love. That's his nickname on Instagram and Twitter, but Cody, but you'll know who I'm talking about, but even Cody said, look, I love you, Ben Askren, as a friend and everything else, but this is just a big mistake for you. You will lose the fight. Yeah, okay, so enough of that, because it's something that's silly, and many people have said that what's really going on here is that Jake Paul is basically looking for a way to get even more famous. That the fact of I'm just speaking about him and other mixed martial artists who have their own podcast, and just the reaction that people are giving this attention, that's what he wants, because it gives more attention to the event, and then in turn that gives more pay-per-views. So people have advised me that really really shouldn't be giving it any attention at all. So I just thought I'd put that out there, because I was surprised that the fights actually happened, and it was even more surprised to learn that the UFC have actually scheduled the upcoming Costa Vs Whittaker fight will also take place on the same day, the 17th of April. So probably they personally believe, or they even know that chances are that the interest for the fight will be very minimal. But let's see what happens. Okay, so Conor McGregor was suspended, not for doing anything wrong, but a medical suspension after he fought Dustin Poirier at UFC 257 this past weekend. And it's clear to see why. I mean, after the match, I saw him in a video on YouTube. He was actually carrying a crutch, just one crutch, and had to limp as he was leaving the venue, just heading back home. And there were videos and highlights and some posts showing on social media that the leg kicks from Dustin Poirier had actually done some serious damage. Now, initially, I thought that maybe that caused an injury to his calf, but no, maybe it was just swelling. I think his coach confirmed that no, Conor wasn't injured, and actually Conor wasn't injured, and actually he's already training for the next fight. Yeah, so those kicks on Poirier were really lethal, and on top of that, McGregor already has demanded, is already seeking a rematch with Poirier, and Poirier has actually agreed to the fight. So really, I think the only thing left now is for Dana White and the UFC to agree to that. But then knowing Conor McGregor, whatever he asks for or whatever he wants, he gets. Whatever the Prince wants, the Prince gets. Poirier to say that at the press conference after the fight, UFC 257, he believes that he and Conor are 1-1, and at the third round of the upcoming fight, if it does ever happen, it will decide which of them is the better fighter. That was even more confirmed. Can I say more confirmed? I usually speak better than that, but that was even, let me say, supported by John Kavanagh, who is Conor McGregor's coach, and he said that Conor has really been harassing everybody, and I'm assuming that would also include the UFC, about a rematch. And if the rematch doesn't happen, he could well consider moving to boxing. And call me what you want, call me what you will. If he's going to boxing and Jake Paul is still going to be boxing, but if this is true, I mean, Conor McGregor has said he's in the past that he's going to retire, that he's retired, and every single time, I think it's done about 4, 5, 6, 7 times. The latest time was last year in 2020, but already we're hearing about a week later that he wants a match, he wants to fight. He said stuff like that before in the past, but it's, if he doesn't get his own way, in this case, and he's asking for a rematch, and the other guy, Poirier, has agreed to it. So really, the only person left to make it a done deal is Dana White. And so far, as far as I know, as I'm making this podcast, Dana White hasn't said anything about it. Now, if he moves to boxing, I would really, really, really like to see him finally take Jake Paul up on his offer about a boxing match. He's insulted Conor McGregor quite a few times after calling him out for a fight. He's insulted his wife, and even after his loss at UFC 257, because of his loss, I think he I didn't write it down, but Paul made a video saying that he didn't get the prize money Conor McGregor, something like that, and I could be wrong if I'm not, because I'm not quoting it correctly word for word. Just off the top of my head, he said, "I got $10,000 in cash for you." He said, "No, this is what he said." He said, so initially he had made an offer of $50 million, but after he lost at UFC 257 to Dustin Poirier, he said, "I'm taking back that offer. Instead, you can have $10,000 in cash instead." So, I mean, if Conor does go to boxing, if the fight doesn't happen, a rematch against Poirier doesn't happen, the trilogy fight, as they're saying, then and he goes to boxing, well, I would like to see him fight Jake Paul and see if Jake Paul actually if actually says yes to the fight, because he's called out many people. He's called out, okay, there's Conor McGregor, Dylan Dennis, Nate Diaz, and I'm sure Nick Diaz was called out as well. No, it's just Nate Diaz, and he called out Ben Askren too. Ben Askren is the only mixed martial arts fighter, the only proper professional elite level fighter with striking that really isn't that great, to take him up on his offer. And it seems to me, I think, can I say this confidently, that maybe Jake Paul took up this fight because he knows that maybe the fact that Ben Askren's striking really isn't that great is, excuse me, belching like mad here. That Ben Askren's the fact that Ben Askren's striking really isn't that good is probably what makes him an easy target, an easy win he's a weak fighter, that it'll just be like one punch straight to the head, just a single strike somewhere and he'll be out cold, just like he was back at UFC 239 against Jorge Masvidal, who just took him out with just a single flying knee, and the whole fight was over within the first 30 seconds of the first round. So you will see where this whole thing goes. And really, the only thing left to talk about is that recently UFC fighter Raquel Pennington, she has been suspended because she took a banned substance unknowingly, in her own words, basically. And she actually took to social media, to Instagram, and told all her followers, her fans, and the mixed martial arts community that she had been, basically, I think her doctor had given her some medication to take because she'd been feeling unwell for an injury or something like that. And she didn't know that the medication contained a banned substance, so she actually contacted the UFC, and not just that, but she also told that all her followers and her fans, basically, and the community, that this is what's going to happen. USADA's going to make this announcement, and I'm going to be suspended for some time, so you're not going to be seeing or hearing from me for a while. So don't think she's lying about it if she actually went to expose herself like that before USADA did. So yeah, I don't think there's anything there, but I just thought I'd put that out there because it's some news. Sorry about that, guys, just a bit of a glitch there with my phone. I think the memory card was full, but yeah, I think I'll draw this to a close now. Thanks for listening, guys, and if you did enjoy that, please don't forget to leave a like, and please do subscribe. If you do enjoy my content, please do subscribe and don't forget to leave a like. You can catch my podcast not just only here on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Google Podcasts, on SoundCloud, on Player FM. I'm still trying to sort out the iTunes thing, but the encryption of thing is just crazy. But that will get worked on. Will be sorted out. I'll get that done and finally. So I'm just always getting tongue twisted and tongue tied when I'm speaking on the mic. I think maybe it's just nerves. But yeah, you can also catch me on Instagram. My name is Ojiako1, and on Facebook and Twitter, my name is Ojiako. Thanks.